Welcome back to the We Are Rockwood podcast. Once again, we're beautiful downtown Rockwood at Wilk Production Studios. I want to thank him. We've not done that yet, but thank you for
Thank you, Scott, for doing this for us. He's volunteering his time and his skills and everything to make this happen. So thank you, Scott. And Wilk Productions. Today's
guest is a guy, Thompson, and I'm gonna be honest, this one is personal. He was one of my teachers, and as a kid, I loved to read everything. I read magazines and newspapers, though, and only books about sports. And I sat in this man's classroom, and he gave me To Kill a Mockingbird, and it changed my life. I'd realized there's life outside of sports. Last year, I read 237 books. I've read 37 this year, and it really starts, teachers inspire you. This one turned me into a reader.
Geometry proofs didn't change your life?
Thank God I had Guy Thompson teaching me English.
Well, what I tell kids is, every teacher says that their class is the most important one for everything. And I tell them, well, they can tell you that, but you can't get by without English. English is truly the most important.
I can't prove anything without it.
I'm not going to argue with the importance of English.
With the communication skills and everything else.
That's right. Sorry I got sidetracked. But Leanne, do you have a salute to service before we get started?
Before we get into our conversation with Guy, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this, I want to make sure and recognize a hometown hero in our salute to service moment. Today, I'm recognizing Corporal Jesse Scarborough. He was in the Marines from 2015 to 2019. I believe Guy and I both taught Jesse.
Yes.
And he is on a banner down on Gateway Boulevard. So we're grateful to give him this recognition and remember his service to this country and community. I think he was a policeman for a while here.
I believe so, yes.
So thank you, Jesse, and let's get back to our interview now with Guy.
First of all, I feel like I'm in high school again since I had
Between
both
two
of
teachers.
them. And I never gave either one of them a problem. Let's just get this out in the open.
Oh, I could tell stories. I could tell stories.
Well, we're here to talk about you and not me. That's a relief today.
And in fact, before the cameras were rolling, you were talking about not just were we your teachers and you weren't getting in trouble with us, but you had a middle school story. I mean, this isn't about you, but Guy's father was your principal in middle school.
Apparently, me and math classes have never got along. We'll just go ahead and lay this out here. And Lem Hill is one of the great teachers of Rockwood.
He is.
Let's just be honest. He is one of the best. Mm-hmm. But apparently I was unorganized or talking too much. I know that's a shocker.
No, surely not.
My math book was about this tall because everything he gave us I just crammed in it because God knows I wasn't going to study it. So he kicked me out of class on a regular basis. Now when he kicked you out of class, you had to take your desk and everything out in the hallway and sit like you were still in class.
And he was right across from the office.
Yes. And Bill Thompson, who I hung the moon in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Every day would say, this, we had Coke machines back then. Should have been a Pepsi product. That's another story for another day. He would always say, let's just go get a Coke. And I spent more time in his office hanging out. And one day, Lem Hill come out and come in the office, and he said, I thought you left. Your desk was empty. And he said, if I knew you were going to be here having a good time, I'd have made you stay and be miserable in math class.
Yeah, sounds like
Needless to say, I was miserable in math class from
No more out in the halls for you.
No more out in the hallway.
Yeah.
But, your family has meant a lot to me over the years. I mean,
I appreciate
I never had your mother, but for some reason she would help me with class if I was struggling. For some reason, I would go to her.
Yeah.
Well,
she was a wonderful teacher. She was my English teacher in high school, and at that time, she taught her own state composition class, and we could take it It was dual credit. It was a little bit different than it works now because we could take it during the day.
Yeah, it was
at
like
school.
second period. That's when I had it going through.
Yeah, and so she was one of my very, very favorites. And then, of course, I loved your daddy, too, and I worked for him at the middle school. So, and I was saying, too, I remember Guy and his brother, they were, in my mind, they were little kids because your mom also did yearbook, and I was on yearbook, so I'd be after school. So I spent extra time with your mom. And I remember you, her little kid, running through the halls in the high school.
There was some tension when she said
There was.
Kid.
She just doesn't like kids, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
She probably
I
did.
do.
Never mind. I won't say no comment.
But you've got wonderful parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think so, and I hope everybody else does too. Most of them, if you came through Rockwood, you knew both of them.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, that's just the way it was.
Yes.
Been here forever.
So is that what inspired you to become an educator?
Well, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. I sort of went through college in 3 years. Got a little burned out. I was thinking about going to law school. I'd taken the LSAT and was fixing to start applying, and I was just sort of burnt out because I'd gone every summer and everything else. And Dad said, well, take a year off, and I ended up subbing for Dad in the high school. I'd go to the middle school, high school every day and subbed. And I guess I sort of thought about it a little while. I said, well, I'm going to go back and get my teaching certificate. I went to Tennessee Tech and got my teaching certificate, and the rest is history.
Okay. You started teaching. You taught in Harriman for a while, though.
Well, I actually started in Whitwell.
Okay.
I was in Whitwell for 4 years. When I graduated from Tech with my teaching certificate, Dad at that time was still the basketball coach at Rockwood. And they would go to Whitwell every summer to a basketball camp. The boys would go in June and the girls would go in July. And here's another Rockwood name, Becky Lane. Mm-hmm. Her brother-in-law, Tommy Lane, was assistant principal and the basketball coach at Whitwell at that time.
Okay.
And they had an English opening, and so I ended up in Whitwell in 1988. And I taught sophomore English and was assistant football coach and assistant basketball coach at Whitwell, and was there for 4 years. And then I went to North Cumberland Elementary in Crossville.
Okay.
I was there for 2 years. That's where I met my wife, Robin. She was substituting at North Cumberland, and that's where I met my wife, and we ended up getting married before I left there. Then I was at Harriman for a year. That with Coach Pickle. Sonny Reeves was my principal at the middle school. I was a 7th grade English teacher, and then I came here for a couple of years, went back to Harriman 1, then been back here for, I guess I've been at Rockwood. This is my 38th year. I guess I've been at Rockwood 30 years.
Okay. I believe if we go into Harriman's gym lobby, we see a photograph of you with the basketball team.
Yes, we actually.
Wearing blue.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Hey, at that time, you know how it is. You go and listen, I've always been loyal wherever I go. It doesn't matter. I was a loyal Whitwell person. I was a loyal Cumberland County person. I was a loyal Harriman person, and I've always been a loyal Rockwood person because I came through school here and everything else. But then it worked out where I came back, and I've been here ever since.
You know, they honored that Harriman team this year, and
yes, that was our second time.
Yes, and I will say he did not wear blue that night. It was nice to see. I think he even wore pink that night. I think.
Yeah, I think I did. I wore a nice neutral color.
Non-controversial.
I said, well, y'all. When Tom Tilley called me, I said, well, you sort of set me up. We're here on the night Rockwood was here. I think we did it 10 years previously, and it was on a Saturday, and I think they were playing Scott County or Tellico Plains, somebody. It was somebody other than Rockwood, but this time it was Rockwood.
And it worked out for him. They honored him, and then Rockwood won that game
Rockwood
that night.
Perfect.
That's the only time they beat Harriman this year.
That's right. It worked out.
And it worked out that day.
Well, let's go back in time to when you were a student.
Okay.
Junior high, high school. Your daddy was your principal in junior high, and then you
Yes.
had your mama. And the buildings were connected at that time.
Well, I was actually one of the first students in the new junior high, they had just closed down the previous one, the 3-level that you went through. This is old high school. And I shouldn't say this, but I can remember playing football, and we had those two-a-days, and while we were waiting to get out, we'd throw rocks through the windows of the old building, because they were demolishing it, tearing it down. But I was a 7th grade student, and the first year it opened, that area.
All right, so you played sports. Heard
Yes.
you say football because you were new.
I played a couple years of football in junior high, and then basketball I played all the way through. High school I didn't play football, but I played basketball all 3 years. Of course, back then high school was 10, 11, and 12. It wasn't the 9,
Yes.
10, 11, 12. And I actually played tennis one year. And
well, I know you coach tennis. For
I coach tennis now, but what happened was, you remember Larry Davis was the football coach, and Larry was also the tennis coach.
Was he?
Yeah, at this time, Larry's the tennis coach. Now, here's what happened. Of course, we used to play down here. We weren't at Roan State. We were down here at the courts. There were 4 courts down here. Well, basketball season got over with. We got put out of the tournament, so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, my athletic days at Rockwood are over. Well, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I get summoned to my dad's office from the high school. Leroy comes down and said, hey, your dad needs to speak to you a minute. I said, okay. So I go down there, and he goes, come in my office here a minute. He goes, I've got a job opportunity for you. I said, job opportunity? What you got? He said, Larry needs another tennis player, and I volunteered you. And I said, Dad, I don't even have a tennis racket. Your mom's taking you to Knoxville tonight. You're going to go pick out a tennis racket. So we went to Athletic House in Knoxville. And, those are pretty much closed, defunct now. But we went to Athletic House. In fact, I still we had a tennis match last night, and I take my 2 tennis rackets down there. Because I started playing tennis after that. And I got when the big-headed rackets came out, I got one of those back in the middle 80s. But when I was playing tennis, I got that old Jimmy Connor T2000.
Yes.
You remember the T2000?
Yes, I do.
I pull those out every now and then at tennis practice to hit around with the kids. I say, here, try to hit this. And the head is it almost looks like a badminton racket, compared to today's tennis rackets. And they can't hit it because it's just so much smaller.
No, but that was quite the thing.
Yeah.
My very first tennis racket was a wooden tennis racket.
Oh, yeah. I used to play around with
Did you know that they used to make them out of wood?
We had those. And when I played golf all the time, it was the old persimmon head wooden persimmon heads. That's what I used all the time.
Black and white TVs and wooden rackets. What a time to be
Hey,
alive.
don't forget black and white with bunny ears.
I know this is your podcast. I will tell this.
Oh, well, this is good.
But I used to watch that show, Bewitched.
Oh, yeah.
And so when color TVs came out, they would promote at the beginning, at the opening, they would say, in color. And I would get so excited. And I'm like, Mom, where's the color? She says, we don't have a color TV. Because
that's back in the day when you only had 3 channels.
Yes.
We actually had 6 because we had 3 coming out of Knoxville and 3 out of Chattanooga, but the Chattanooga and Knoxville were all the same.
Right.
I mean, ABC, CBS, and NBC. The only good thing about that was during the NBA championship game, there was always one game that Knoxville played the Jerry Lewis Telethon. And you could switch over to Chattanooga and watch it on the Chattanooga, so I could watch the NBA championship, that one particular game when Jerry Lewis Telethon was on.
It's funny. Okay. So we've kind of gone down a rabbit hole there.
Well, you knew that was going to happen.
It does happen. It does happen. I'm sure I had something on my mind.
Call me shocked.
That's what happens with age.
So she was talking about your tennis career.
Oh, okay.
Let
All
me
right,
help.
you started playing tennis in high school. Did you golf? You coach golf also.
Yes. Now, I didn't play golf in high school, but I've played golf forever. I mean, I was a member of the Rockwood Country Club. So, you had the golf course, the swimming pool, and everything else. And so I went through there and Mom and Dad used to drop me and my brother off in the summer. They'd drop us off when the course opened up. We'd go play 18 holes, and then 12 o'clock you could start swimming. We'd swim from 12 to about 4 or 5, and then go play a couple more and
I
go
had
home.
moved on from the country club by the time his generation came along, I suppose.
The country club just wasn't good enough for it.
Well,
It was not.
no, we interviewed Stack and Andrea.
Right.
So we talked about the country club. He's making fun of
Well,
me
he and I
because-
graduated together. He and I were in the same grade.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That was my next question is who were some of your buddies in high school? Who were kids your age that you hung out with?
Well, it's just the who's who, I guess.
Rockwood.
I mean, yeah, it's just everybody. I mean, you know how it was. Pretty much everybody hung out with everybody. I played sports, so hung out with all
The
them.
athletes.
Then I was also in the band. Back then, most of the athletes were in the band too. Mm-hmm. So like the Willards played basketball.
Okay.
Was in the band with them, and Ronnie Gallagher was in my grade. Now Ronnie just passed away not too long ago, but Ronnie and I graduated together. We played basketball together and everything else. Craig White was in there, and then you had some that were younger, like Clint Bain and Brad Roddy and Scott Meadows,
Okay.
and that bunch. So, just
Who was your band director and what instrument did you play?
I played the trombone. I played the trombone. My brother played the trumpet, and Tracy played the trumpet, but I played trombone. Michael Kincaid
Okay.
was band director, and I had what was his first name? Sharp. Was
Eddie?
there when Eddie Sharp?
Eddie Sharp?
That's what I'm thinking. He was there the first couple of years, and then Michael Kincaid came in, and he was the band director then. So, I don't know. It just growing up, that's what we did.
And you always lived right there in the house where...
Well, not always,
you,
but the majority of the time, yes. When we first moved here, we came in from Cleveland, Tennessee. Dad was a girls basketball coach in Cleveland. He'd been trying to get into boys basketball. And actually, in Cleveland, the boys basketball job came open, and Dad said he would like to be the boys basketball coach. And they pretty much told him, well, you're a girls basketball coach. We don't think you can handle boys. So Shoemate had just left, and he came up here and interviewed, and that's how we ended up in Rockwood. Or if he'd have gotten the Cleveland job, we'd probably been
So is your dad from
Cleveland.
Crossville? Or your mom? Somebody was from Crossville.
Yeah, Dad actually was born in Ohio, but like when he was one or a little less, they moved back to Crossville. My grandparents were both from Crossville, and he was in Ohio for a little while, and my dad was born there, and then they moved back, and he was in Pleasant Hill is where they grew up, which is just outside of the city of Crossville, about 10 miles outside, and he grew up there. And Mom's from Utah, and they met in Florida.
Oh.
Yes. So my dad was the first one to graduate with a college degree in his family. My grandfather wanted him to go into engineering, so he was at UT and flunked out of the engineering program and ended up at Tech and got his teaching certificate there at Tech. And somehow he found somebody he knew was in Florida, and he ended up in Florida teaching elementary reading.
Oh my goodness.
And he was there, and my mom had gone to Florida. They ended up finding each other, getting married, and moved right back up here to Crossville. We were at Homestead. When I was born at Crossville Hospital, and I grew up. I lived my first 2 or 3 years in the Homesteads, and then Cleveland 1 year, and then here.
I'm so glad they ended up in Rockwood.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
And thinking of your house, I don't know, it's where Highway 27 and Highway 70 are both.
It's no longer ours. We sold it to Taylor. Taylor's living there now.
Who?
My niece.
Oh, okay. Is she?
Yes.
Well, in my mind,
Tracy's daughter.
of course, that's your mom and dad's house in
Right.
my mind, and I have driven by that house and
Right
dropped
there.
off essay papers and stuff that I was turning in late for Mrs. Thompson in the mailbox.
Usually late.
But yeah. My time management skills were not all that great when I was 17.
Too much time at the pool. Too much
Yes.
time
I
going
was hanging
on.
out at the country
Too
club
much
too
time
much.
going on dates. We've heard
Yeah.
about it on all the podcasts. We've led up to the truth now.
Your mom would always give me till Sunday night at such and such time.
And then
for
here comes
whatever.
the knock on the door.
So I would have to drive by. She was so sweet. But I always have this image of her running down through the hallway, a story she tells. And if you don't know this story, but if you do, I want you to tell it. When she comes in the house one time, and there is someone that has broken into the house,
Oh gosh, yes.
and instead of just like a normal
yeah.
person running out of the house
I
screaming,
can tell you exactly.
her teacher mode kicked in,
And you can picture it too.
Oh, I can. Will you tell that story?
Sure. So, it was one summer. Tracy was in school. I was working, I think, at the road crew. So I was out working on the roads. Dad was out somewhere. My brother was working, I think, at McDonald's at the time. So nobody was home. Mom and my sister just got back from the store. And when you come in the back door, you can see from the kitchen all the way down the hallway. So Mom is putting up stuff, and she sees somebody go right across into her room. And she thinks it's one of us. Well, she goes in, and there's some guy just rummaging through her drawers. And if you know my mom, you can just picture. She puts those hands on her
Yes.
hips and says, "Just what do you think you're doing?"
Yes.
Well, the guy's, he actually sits up and he pulls out a knife and he says, "What do you think I'm doing?" She starts running down the hall screaming and telling Tracy to run. Well, Tracy is in there. She starts screaming. And I think that startled that guy. But there were actually two people in there.
Oh.
One dove out my sister's bedroom. And I don't know what. I guess the other followed him after it was shattered and went through there. And one of them got, I think, the Kleins. You know, the junkyard that all the cars right there.
Yes.
The Kleins got one of them.
Okay.
And it turned out there was an older couple with two guys just going down traveling, and they would stop at houses that were on a highway like that and just break in.
Yeah.
And we've had I guess we've had about 3 break-ins there. One time,
The location is.
yeah. One
guess
time
easy.
I had these Herman Survivor boots, okay? And I come home and there's these old manky shoes sitting there, and my Survivors are gone. And actually, a friend of mine, Alan Owens, his mother worked up here at the housing project. She said a guy came in with just brand new boots on. and that was mine. And then at one other time, somebody broke in through the sliding glass doors on there and did about the same thing. Took a pair of shoes or something and left an old pair. But yeah, they've had about 3 there.
I mean, at least they were courteous enough to leave a pair, I guess.
Oh, well, no, I just tossed them. I didn't want them.
Is Taylor equipped to handle all the break-ins?
Well, if you look, there's always people there. There's always cars. She's there. She's just had a kid. She got married and she has a kid. And my sister and brother-in-law are over there all the time. If you go by, you'll see 5 or 6 cars. That's what, who was it? I think Webb, Coach Webb, when he used to visit his mother right there at the bridge across the street. He would always go and see his mother on Sunday, and he would talk to me. He'd see all the cars. On Sunday, we'd all go into Mom and Dad's and have a meal. I'd bring my family. Craig would bring his family. Tracy would bring her family. So we'd have about we'd have about 16 to 19 people in there eating Sunday dinner, sitting around shooting the breeze, and of course one of mine breaking a window and that we talked about earlier, but.
Sometimes you just have to break a window, I guess.
Yeah,
sometimes.
well, now Dakota broke a window inside the house, so.
At your mom and dad's or your house?
At Mom and Dad. Oh, Dakota's destroyed a lot of things at our house.
Oh.
She has a little bit of an anger issue at
Do
times.
tell about her breaking the window at your mom and dad's house.
Well, I don't know if you ever you always came in the front door, didn't you? Did you ever come in the carport door?
No.
All right, so when you come in the carport door, there's a
Usually at the mailbox.
There's a little office there, and there's a window that used to go to the outside, but that window now goes into the sunroom. and I think Dakota threw a shoe at somebody and broke the window. Dakota was always, when we didn't get our girls a cell phone until they got into middle school, and the only reason we got them a cell phone in middle school was they played sports, and I wanted them to have a phone in case we dropped them off, and they had
you.
Yeah, in case we dropped them off and at basketball practice or whatever practice they were at, and if they quit early or something, they could call and we could come pick them up. But she got this. It was a blitz. It was about that and about that thick. She used it as a weapon against everybody else. We find out. Shasta say something, get mad, she'd throw. We found a hole in the wall in our den. We've got some paneling, and it hit right in a knot. And you can't tell until you just really get down there and stare at it. But she put a hole in the wall with that blitz.
I never saw that side of Dakota.
Listen, hey, come by the house and the girls' bathroom, and this is when she was older. I think she was in college. Shasta said something that made her mad. Dakota got mad. She ran into the bathroom and locked the door, and Dakota got mad and hit the door and put a hole in the door. I hadn't replaced the door yet. It's still there.
I can't imagine 3 girls in the same house.
I can't either. That's why I hid in my back room most of the time. And I would stick my head out. Is it safe to come out? No, it's not. Okay. So I made my little place back there in my bedroom, and I lived there for quite a while when I was at home.
In addition to school and education, your parents owned the skating rink.
Yes, my dad and my uncle went in together. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
But my dad and my uncle had the skating rink in Crossville, Woodmere. You know Woodmere Mall. You remember the skating rink they had in the corner? I don't know if you.
I was not. Brian's going to probably be more engaged in this part of the conversation because I think he's a big skater.
I wouldn't say I skated, but I did go to the skating rink.
He hung out at the skating rink.
He hung out with his girlfriends in there is what he did.
Yeah, and we all took a smoke break at the same time. Whether you smoked or not, you got a smoke break.
Smoke breaks.
So, but my uncle said, hey, talked to my dad and said, hey, why don't we, buy that skating rink down here? It's for sale. So they did, and Dad pretty much run it, and we ran it. I think that was about 91 or 92. I remember I was in for the summer from Whitwell. I was getting ready to go back, and he ended up co-opting me into sealing the whole parking lot. So I worked it out in the sun. I sealed that whole parking lot. Took me about 3 or 4 days and sealed that whole parking lot before I went back to Whitwell to start football practice.
You were so excited to get to football practice.
I was ready for football practice, I'll tell you that, yes. But we had that for quite a while, and then Dad and Jim just decided it was time to let it go, and it took us. I think Dad had passed before we sold it, and we sold it, and it was just going to be used as a storage facility, is what it was used for. So we sold that then. There's
all kinds of Rome County people with memories there.
Oh, let me tell you, I've worked many all-night skate
yes.
on a Saturday night, and we'd go till 6 in the morning.
And because his family owned it, the trust the community have, parents should drop you off and say, either call us when you want to come home, or we'll be back in the morning, or we'll be back when it closes. Until then, you're on your own. So
Friday and Saturday nights, that's where everybody went, was to the skating rink, and then they couldn't wait till we had an all-night skate on a Saturday. But yeah, that I don't remember when we sold it. Dad, I think, passed away in 2013, so we probably sold it. I think we had shut it down. It'd been shut down for about a year or two, so it was probably about 2010, 2011 when we just sort of shut it down and shuttered the doors, and then went from there.
We'd gamble on the arcades. You have to bet on arcades. That's just how it is. Don't act shocked. With you swaying at the pool, waiting on rounds to flirt, so you don't get to act brand new now. We're not playing this. But that's another example of, the trust really that the community had in that family was to say. Of course, the parents are pretty excited to shove us out the car.
I'm sure.
Well, there were times that a kid or two would be left there, close at what, 10 o'clock, I think, something, 11, something like that. There were times that we would wait around till 12 or 1 until somebody came and picked up a kid because we weren't going to leave them there.
Right.
And we'd be calling, trying to get hold of them. They were out somewhere else, but I think a lot of them used it as a cheap babysitting service.
I'm sure.
I know when Mom would pick me up, we didn't have because they lived in Eagle Furnace, so they enjoyed the time away. But you have to take 3 or 4 back with you because their parents weren't coming. They'd say, "Can you give us a ride home?" Yeah, just get in. It's part of the deal.
His mother would call my dad all the time. When are you going to have an all-night skate? We need one.
We need him out of the house.
Now, he would call her and she'd say, "What has he done?"
Yeah.
One time he called and apparently I'd said something inappropriate. I know that.
No.
Surely
I know
not.
that's shocking.
Surely not.
And I'll never forget Mom telling him, if you can tell me how to get him to stop, that's fine. If not, I'm going back to work. And he said, "Yeah, you just need to go on back to work." So I know that's shocking.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
So
It's funny. But
you begin teaching at Rockwood. What's that been like? Because, there's pressure with your last name. There has to be.
Well, there is, and I was in a subject that was highly regulated and
always tested.
always tested. Well, now,
Yeah.
actually, when I first started teaching, we weren't in the testing, but they were telling us, testing's coming, testing's coming. But yeah.
Was your mom still teaching when you started?
Okay, so the first time I was at Rockwood would have been, 95, 96, 96, 97, I think. And yes, I taught with her for 2 years. We used to all go to Shirley's room and eat lunch together. All of us would be in there we'd put the tables together, and I don't remember how many, but there were a lot of us in there.
You would never complain about the students, would you? Just all
No,
positive. and
only
happy.
you.
Yeah.
You're the only one we ever
Brian.
complained about. If we could get rid of him, we'd have a great atmosphere.
I made it better.
So what was that like, being a peer with your mom?
Well, it's fine. You've always got somebody to talk to. Even after she retired, we'd talk about English classes and what I was doing and all this. So it was something we talked about up until the end, really.
And Miss Hegel was still teaching as
Miss
well.
Hegel was still teaching. I'm trying to think how many, I was just thinking about that the other day, how many teachers were still teaching when I came through.
That you had as a
that
student.
I had as a student, and Miss Hegel, my mom. I only had my mom for college English. I had Miss Hood and Miss Hegel, the other two.
Good.
Yeah, and of course Leroy was. I think Leroy's first year as principal was my first year in the high school.
Okay.
Because he was teaching for Dad before that, and then Shirley Davis had just come in. That was her first year there. My senior year in high school. I think that was it. All the teachers that I'd come through school with were gone.
Right, I'm going through
Except for
who
those
was still
three.
teaching when I transferred over to Rockwood, because I started at Kingston. I know I was giving him a hard time for being at Harriman.
Yeah.
There I was over at Roane County High School.
Sprinted over there, she did.
That's what I heard.
Couldn't get there quick enough.
I had a very positive experience there. I worked with some wonderful teachers, had great administrators, but I was glad to be
She
back
doesn't
home
know
to
she's
Rockwood.
retired. She doesn't have to say that. You can tell the truth. She's just like, I hated it. It was
I didn't. It's the
miserable.
truth. I did not
They have some, and
They-
Harriman had good people when I
Yeah.
was there. Like I said, my first principal at Harriman was Sonny Reeves. Couldn't beat Sonny. Sonny was a
Right.
good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy.
But I did have the privilege, as much as I loved your mom as a teacher, then I was blessed to also be a teacher alongside her. And we always had our lunch at the same time.
Yep.
So there was one year when we weren't eating in Shirley's room, and it was just me and your mom, and we were in the teacher's lounge every day.
That must have been, I can't remember, had we switched to 2 lunches at that time?
I bet we did.
I think because, for a while we were eating for an hour and it was all hands on deck, everybody eating at
sounds
the
like-
same
that
time.
sounds
Then
like
we got
chaos.
too big and we were going with a 2 lunch schedule. And I was in the bad hallway for the 2 lunch schedule because remember that you couldn't go past the water fountain at the office.
That's right.
But I'm on that other hallway, so during lunchtime, when you were teaching and the first bunch or the second bunch was eating, they could come out. They just couldn't go past the water fountain, so you could hear everything going on while you're trying to teach.
Because you were right across from.
Yeah,
were you right across from where the cafeteria was at that time? Where was your room? Was it on the slant?
Listen, I've been in. The first year I was there, I was down there in. I don't know how to explain it to y'all. It was actually a part of the junior high when I came through.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was either Leroy or Clarence's room, right past those double doors.
On the right.
Yeah, and at that time we only had 3 English teachers, and if you remember that one room right there beside the old office, it was being used as a detention hall. Used to be biology when we came through, and you still had all the jars of formaldehyde and everything in there. I talked to Mr. Wilson and I said, hey, I think I need to clean this detention hall thing up, and I need to move up here, and that'll put all 3 of your English teachers together. So I was the first one that made that room up after the biology stuff. And then when I came back from Harriman, I was in Mom's old room.
On the corner?
Right there beside that.
Yeah.
And then when Miss Hegel retired, Mr. Wilson moved me over there because that had the book closet, so he had me in charge of the book closet and everything else. So I've been in Miss Hegel's old room forever. That was chemistry with
Miss Pemberton's room when I was in
me
school.
Me too.
And then Miss Hegel was down on the
on that
hill.
You had Mom down here at the corner, and then Miss Hegel and Nell Willis right across the hall and did Spanish and
that's a wild crew.
Oh yeah.
That's a crew that laid the foundation for so many people in Rockwood. They did.
And then Miss Hood was up here on this corner where the outer office is now.
Yeah. Was there a library up there?
At one point, but that was before they built that library that they added on, because when they first did Rockwood, it was a U shape, and then they put that library in. But I think that was built in like 54.
But yeah, where the office is now, Miss Hood's room was.
Yeah, and then where you go up the back stairs to the office, that was Miss Giles's
typing room.
You go up those stairs and right there in the typing.
Oh, those were the days.
They were.
That's an all-star group of teachers. It is. When you talk to anybody about Rockwood that's over a certain age,
right?
Those are mentioned by everybody. It's not just a one-off, or maybe somebody rubbed them the right way and there was a great experience, but everybody mentions that group of teachers.
Yeah, there was a great bunch of teachers.
Yes.
I had excellent teachers.
Yes, I did too when I came through.
Yeah.
Okay, I did too.
You
had the best.
I did.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, I didn't have a bad teacher at Rockwood. I didn't have a bad experience with a teacher. I mean, some subjects were terrible, but the teachers were okay. I didn't talk about you. I could have been talking about algebra with Miss Roberts. She was a Duke fan. That just rubbed me the wrong way. Could be a Lakers fan, which is worse.
No, that's not worse. I've been a Lakers fan forever.
I'm a Knicks fan, so there's just natural dislike there.
I go way back before Magic and all them. I go back to Jerry West.
Did you ever get him off subject by talking about sports?
Never about wrestling or the Dolphins or the Lakers. No. Never. You know he would never venture off subject.
Well, what they didn't realize, if I came across a lull, I would go ahead to fill some time. We would go into that, but if it wasn't, we pushed through and said, okay, we'll talk about that later, and here we go.
Now, one time we got him off subject, and he knew it. The next day we had a quiz on the stuff we were supposed to tell him. So
you got to teach him.
You weren't off the hook.
Luckily, I read it. Now, some people were like, oh, shit. But, no, I was blessed. I mean, like I've said, I had great teachers. I mean, it's an amazing time at Rockwood.
Tell us what you're doing now with work-based learning at Rockwood. And I know when you taught sophomore English, both of my boys had you, loved you, even though Jared didn't probably always do.
Jared wasn't the reader.
His academic, no. But he loved your class, he liked you, so he had fun. But what you made both of those boys and all of your students do at that point, which I have used and built on that or helped them and encouraged them to use, and then you've taken it over into what you're doing now, is the portfolio that they used to make. I loved that.
Yeah, we used to do a portfolio a lot. I don't remember if I had started that. I can't. Clarence Holloway, who was the guidance counselor at the time, talked to us and said, "Hey, we need to. They're wanting us to start a portfolio." So he said, "We're going to go through the English class and do portfolios." So I started it, and then the others didn't, but I just kept it up. I thought it was a good thing.
Very good.
And now that I'm doing work-based learning, we do a digital portfolio that we have it on Google Slides, and we go through. But I think a portfolio is a good thing to have. And I can't remember which student it was, but we did a portfolio, and they took it into the Boy State. They were interviewing for
Good.
Boy State, and they took that.
So it helped them there.
Yeah, and he said, "Would you like to see my portfolio?" And I said, "What are you talking about? I've never." They came up and talked to me after and said, "I've never seen a student have something like that." I don't know if it helped him, but he ended up making Boy State. I don't know if it helped him or not, but
it's a very good project. So, what kind of work-based learning? What kind of jobs or things are your work-based learning students doing, and is that part of the STEM program at Rockwood?
Yes, it is part of the STEM. Work-based learning is being pushed all across the state right now, trying to get students into something that maybe aren't academically inclined, that can go straight into a job at that time. We've just started, I'm trying to think, what is this, about the 4th or 5th year, something like that. We've got all kinds of different things. So what I try to do is I've had some kids working down here at Water and Gas, had some kids working at Lowe's. We're working with a couple others that we might be going into. If I can get, a lot of the problem is some of these, especially manufacturing and stuff, you need to be 18. Like we've got slots at Huber that we can use, but you've got to be 18.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a kid that just came and talked to me. Of course, you know how kids are. You didn't tell us anything about Huber. I said, that's the first thing I talked about at the beginning of the year when we went through this. I said, you have to be 18. I said, when did you turn 18? He said, I turned 18 in April. I said, well, come to me when right now he's just sort of doing the co-op. He's working at Cracker Barrel right now, but he wants to go into construction, something with construction. But he was talking about Huber, and I said, well, when you turn 18, I'll take you down to Huber. We'll put in an application and see if we can't get you in there. But like I said, I've had some people working at Water and Gas over the time, and I've got people doing co-ops, so they're just going to the restaurants and so forth and working. I've got some students that have wanted to be thinking about being teachers. So I see what level they want. I have kids over at the elementary school, and I have one. I'm not going to say the name. She just graduated a few years ago, but she said I want to either dance or I think I might want to teach.
Okay.
And I said, what level do you want to teach? And she said, I think I want to teach elementary. And I said, well, I'll pair you up with somebody over in the elementary school. She ended up with my wife in the library. And about halfway through, she came back and said, well, I definitely don't want to teach. I think I'm going to go dance. But now I had, at the same time, I had another one that went over there and was in first grade, teaching in first grade with one of my former students, Cassidy Tilly.
Okay.
And she was there the whole time, and that's what she wants to do. And I had another one over there with Miss Patty Sheldon, and she wants to be a teacher too. So, you know, we've got that. And I've had a couple that want to do some social work, so I paired them up with the guidance counselor at the elementary school so they could see a little bit about helping.
Right. I think that even if they decide this is not for me, I mean, the discovery is a valuable lesson.
I agree.
Because just because you go to school, doesn't mean you really know what it is like to be
Right.
on the other side.
Well,
as a teacher.
And like I said, it's hard sometimes to get them in the construction field, but I've got some that are going down that path, and I've paired them up with our construction teacher, Michael Duggar, and he teaches them some stuff, and they even go around helping the kids with the projects they're doing and everything else. And it's helped them to see what kind of certifications they need to work on, and everything else. So I think the work-based learning program is good. And even if we can't find a job outside, a lot of times I'll pair them up with a high school teacher or a middle school teacher and try to pair them up. Like I had one student that said, I think I want to do a biostem in college. So I paired her up with Miss Sword. And then, of course, you started the Fab Lab down there, and we got that going. And Miss Sword gets 2 or 3 of my kids every year to work in the Fab Lab where they're creating things with the posters and the 3D printing and all of that, which is good. And I think they even sent them out
Ryan
to
Woody helping with that, and Jaslyn, somebody else. It's a girl.
Janari, not Janari, Gilbert. What's her first name? I'm getting too old.
I know, and I've been away. But there's, a lot of these outside jobs, they're getting paid for those. But then we had the in-house jobs that were more like an internship.
Right.
And then we had partnerships with this studio, Scott's Small Town Network, the journalism class.
Right.
Are you involved in that, or is that just per class?
I think that's just per class, and journalism has been handling more of that. But we've got people that, we started the podcast over there. You set up the sound room, and they do podcasts in there. The journalism students and so forth do podcasts in there. I know they had me in for one time to talk in there. So this is not your first time as being a guest on a podcast? No, I'm sort of shy. I don't talk much.
Me too. I understand. Leanne's the talker.
Although the kids, I'm trying to remember who it was that interviewed me, but they said, "Hey, we really liked you in here because you'll expound on what you're talking about."
No lulls in the conversation.
No.
How much has teaching changed from when you started to
my
now? Because
goodness,
there's
a
rules
lot.
and regulations.
There are.
But parents and grandparents and kids, it's a whole different animal now.
It is. I was looking the other day. There are kids that are about 56, 57 that I taught when I first started teaching. But now, a big difference now. When I first started teaching, I went down to Whitwell, and Earl Condra was the principal. And so I go down there, and I have to go to the central office and talk to the superintendent. And he said, "Can you start football practice today?" I said, "I'm on my way." And then I went and met with the principal, Earl Condra, and he took me down to my room and gave me a key, and he said, "Here you go." And got started, and that's how it went. Now you usually get some kind of a mentor that they assign you to help you.
I know discipline has changed a lot.
Yeah, when I first started,
we just take them out in the hall. I
paddled.
Something else.
Oh, Dad used to tell a funny story. He said the hardest paddling he had ever seen was Mike Collier. I don't know if you remember Mike. He won the state championship, and Pat Cooley. And Pat had done something.
I don't believe Pat Cooley would do anything.
And Dad would talk. He said, "That's the hardest paddling I've ever seen." He said Mike had Pat climbing the wall. He was hitting him so hard. But so I don't remember what it was Pat had done. He'd have to tell you that. But yeah,
I'm sure he was just accused unjustly.
Oh, surely with Pat.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. I've been there. Accused.
That's why he became a lawyer.
Yeah,
because he was
defend himself.
Accused. But no, you're right. Y'all talk about discipline change because y'all know you could call my mama, and I'd stop whatever I was doing.
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen now. It can't happen now.
There's some that you can.
There are some,
and there's some that are going to defend their kid no matter what.
What have you done to my child than what has my child done?
Yeah, I know that all the times that my mother ever called, I never got to explain why I did anything. I was wrong. The teacher, the principal, I was wrong. Yeah. Whether I was right or not, I was wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the way it was when we were growing up. If you got in trouble at school, you got in trouble at home. So if we got a paddling at school, you could expect to get it when you got home too.
Mom always knew when I got in trouble because I would tell her not to pick me up. I'd choose to ride the bus home. Because I lived in Eagle Furnace and it took longer to get home.
Did she cool off by then?
She did not. In fact, she got hotter.
That's what I was fixing to say. I bet she stewed on it a while.
Did.
So you said something about kids, and then you were talking about somebody being in their 50s. You know, when you teach somebody, they are always
Your student.
a child to you. Sorry, Brian. But the other day they had that alumni basketball game. I was telling my husband, so-and-so's playing, and Jerry said, well, she ain't got any business playing. She's too old. And I said, well, she's just a kid. I mean, what do you mean she's a kid? He said, Lynn, she's 59. And I said, oh. I mean, I don't think I taught her, but I do remember, you know, in my mind, if I knew someone as a kid, they're always a kid.
Yeah.
Or they're always my student.
Yeah, and I have a lot of my students working with me now up there at the high school.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it? Becca Anderson, she's a wonderful teacher.
Yes,
she was my student.
Right.
Bobby Clements was my student when I taught at Kingston. Who else?
Kelsey.
Webster.
It was Kelsey Webster.
Kelsey,
she was one of my students, and
Marlena was a student.
Was a student. Now she's gone. Thomas Davis was one of my students.
Thomas.
Yep.
He was a good student.
My oldest student was there left. She is now in Clinton.
Who's that?
Daenerys Williams.
Daenerys was my student as well.
She was one of my students as well.
Right.
I probably should tell that story just for Daenerys. But I was in her office one day, and we were talking, and she talked about how she was an A student in my class. And I said, Daenerys, no, you were a good student. Don't get me wrong, you were a good student, but you were not an A student. I said, you were a B+ student. No, I was an A student. I said, well, Daenerys, you're now the guidance counselor. Why don't you pull the records? She said, okay, I'm going to pull them and you'll see. I said, okay. 92, 92.
Almost.
I said, you're a good student. You just weren't an A student.
I know. Daenerys said, I remember when I came to your class tardy. She probably did it more than once. But I guess what I did was I made her stand up during the whole class. I don't remember that at all.
Just petty.
Were you and Daenerys in the same?
We graduated together. We rode the bus together.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, she lived out in
Yeah.
the boondocks
It's that
too.
Eagle Furnace in us that.
Oh, I've seen a lot over the years. I had one student, and I know the name. I'm not going to say it. But when I was teaching freshman English, we always did our memorization work like I did with Julius Caesar, so they would have things to work. I have one kid that didn't work much in school, but all of a sudden, it's his turn to come up and talk. And he actually started knowing the stuff, but he had this long hair, and he had a tape recorder in his pocket, and had run a line up back here into his ear. And he doesn't know this, but
He's about to.
He's about to if he's watching this. I'm not going to say the name.
He'll know who he is.
He should, but what he would do is he would go, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. And that's how it went. I let him go all the way through it, and then I would let him come up and we'd talk, and I'd tell him what I gave him, and I said, such and such, what made you decide to do this now? You know, you really haven't turned in a whole lot this year. He said, oh, well, I just thought I'd do it. I said, did that tape recorder in your pocket help you? What are you talking about? I said, I bet if you turn around, you'll see a cord going up through there under your hair and into your... Okay, Coach, you got me.
Hey, these violet delights have violet ends. As they kiss, they consume. Just going to tell you.
But it's stories like that you think about in your years that you know, and then you have the students that come up to you, like Brian at times, and others saying, I didn't really know that about Brian, about the books. And then he tells it, and that just makes you feel good that you made a difference in somebody's life, and you know, that's something that they enjoy now.
And see, and one advantage was, Guy was one of the fun teachers, unlike somebody. When March rolled around, we got to watch basketball.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, here's what happened. March Madness would start, it would be the week before spring break.
Yes.
And it always started on Thursday.
Yes.
And it would start at noon. And remember we had those old little
Channel
TVs.
1 TVs. Yes.
And so, like, we would be doing something. I said, I tell you what, if y'all will keep working on it, I will turn on the basketball game for you. Because, I mean, you know, it's Thursday and Friday before we're out for a week. And, like, we would take I think then we would take a spelling test on Thursday. And we'd take the spelling test, and I said, okay, we're going to, I'll turn that on, and I can't remember I know Fridays was when we would look up our vocab.
Yes.
And so Friday, I'd say, okay, get your dictionaries out. We'll do our vocab. I'll turn on the basketball game if y'all will work. And I said, if you won't work, I'm going to turn it off. So Brian be here.
Yeah.
But he would get done what he needed to get done.
We also, in your classroom, and I think this was in most classrooms at Rockwood, watched Peyton Manning's announcement that he was coming back to Tennessee.
Yep.
I think that every classroom had that on.
Well, and then you heard a cheer.
Yes, everybody cheered.
From every classroom.
I wasn't even a Tennessee fan, but it was exciting that Peyton was going to come back to lose to Florida again.
I still can't get over who you like, but
Hey.
okay.
He is who he is. Oh.
Yeah.
I just forgave you all.
So, let's talk about your girls real quick.
Okay.
So they go through Rockwood schools.
Yes.
Your wife's at the elementary school.
Yes.
Their granddaddy's at their middle school. Mm-hmm. You're at their high school.
Yes.
They can't get away with anything.
No wonder they had anger issues.
They can't get away
That's
with
only
anything.
one. That's only one.
They didn't know
She
that.
was she's not the baby.
She's the middle.
She's the middle child.
Shasta's just Shasta. Shasta's different from both of them.
So I wonder what their perspective. I mean, that's just life for them. But
Well, it's the same thing I went through. I mean, you know, Mom was in high school and Dad was the principal. So when I came through the junior high, Dad was my principal. When I went through the high school, Mom was a teacher there. You get kids that didn't like you for whatever reason, and they go running to my mom and say, hey, did you know what your son did? My mom was good. She'd say, I don't need to know, you know, because she knew what was going on. And she said, I don't need to know. But now my girls came through, and I actually was coaching golf and softball. So all three of them played golf and
you
softball.
were coaching them too.
Oh, yeah. Probably when Coach Gaskins was here, he helped me with softball because his stepdaughter he had, Raina.
Raina. Mm-hmm.
He brought her over from Oliver Springs, and she played a year. And after that, Coach Gaskins asked if he could help, and I said sure. And then even when she wasn't playing, he helped me for a long time after. But he would, and Dad was the same way with us. But Dakota probably got the hardest chewing of any of my players ever that I've coached over 38 years.
Oh.
It was her fault. And Gaskins would tell the other girls, he'd say, I don't want to hear any complaints because the hardest chewing I ever saw was one of his daughters. He has no favorites when it comes to that. But we were working on throwdowns from the plate, and she played second base, but she was a backup shortstop. So I'd get my shortstops in line to take throws. And so she was in the back of the line. We were going through. We'd pitch, throw down. Dakota came up. She got behind the base. Okay? And no, I was good. I said, Dakota, no, straddle the base so you can get them.
Got to get it.
And I said, she said, okay. So we get back in line. We do it again. Dadgum, she does do the same thing again. I still haven't lost it. I said, Dakota, you got to straddle the base. Okay. She gets back in the back of the line. Here we go for the third time. She comes up behind the bag again. I said, Dakota, Dad, I know. Oh, she didn't get no out before I went off. It was so bad. Soccer was practicing down on the soccer field. The boys' soccer team stopped practice to listen to me chew. And the only reason I know that, Dakota was in the lunchroom the next day, and one of the soccer boys went up to her and said, hey, who was your dad getting on yesterday? Boy, he was going at it. And she goes, oh, that was me. But yeah, she. And then I've had other girls crying and me not saying anything. I get frustrated sometimes. I just kick the dirt and throw my hat against the fence. You used to come down and watch.
So he was throwing his hat. We'll go to Coalfield playing Wartburg. There's a third baseman. Won't mention her name. Love her to death. The highest pop-up I've ever seen. She just watches it.
Oh, no.
And it lands right behind her. I ain't ever seen a hat fly so far in my life.
She started crying.
She did. But you know what? She just got into position crying. And he's just glaring at her. Trying to will her to quit crying. It was great. It was wonderful.
How many years did you coach girls softball?
Oh, how many years? 13, 14 years?
You coached my daughter-in-law, Becca.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Well, she went through with my oldest daughter, Cheyenne. All of
Yes,
those were
that's
together.
right, they graduated
Becca, Cheyenne, Chelsea Cheek, that bunch. Yeah.
And Becca and Chelsea are currently coaching a T-ball,
Yes.
which is not, it's the same as softball, but I guess.
And my
whatever.
oldest daughter is now in Chattanooga, and she's teaching in the elementary school in Chattanooga, and she's been doing basketball.
Oh, has she?
Yes. This was her second year to do basketball.
How old's Harrison?
Harrison is, my wife's going to kill me, but I call him my little pot baby because he was born on 420. He was born on 420. I told my
What
daughter,
do you know
I
about
said,
420?
I don't know what he's talking about.
she knows.
She saw the Doobie Brothers. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, now I did too, but that's beside the point. All right, but
Was yours a day?
But I told my daughter, whatever you do not have this child on 420. And what does she do? She has him on
Yeah.
420. So on 420, he will be 4-year-old.
Ford.
He'll be a 4-year-old on the 20th of April.
All right. So he's a little bit behind Abel.
Yeah, how old's Abel now?
He turned 4 in October.
I knew he was about 6, 7, 8 months, something. It's within a year.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, you know, when I was parking cars and you were principal, you'd bring him and Harrison, and he would get in trouble back there because my daughter was like, Harrison, you stop, because they were running, chasing each other, just like me and my brother used to do.
Yeah, up and down those hallways.
Oh, yeah.
While I was trying to get the yearbook work done.
Not like she never
Miss
did
Thompson's
She
kids are out of control.
never misbehaved, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Well,
She edits it out of all the podcasts, so nobody knows.
I know.
Every time something controversial, we're going to edit that.
oh,
Never fails.
Hey, I expect to see the whole thing on this one because I know what went on. If not, I'll come down here and do a solo podcast, and we'll take care of that.
And we'll just tell stories about you, whether they're true or not.
Hey, yeah, we can do that. Call in.
Yeah.
You get a prize if you can guess whether this is true or not true.
oh my. Hey, that sounds like a fun.
And the answer's always true, whether it is or not.
Yeah, that's right. Especially
We'll
if
be
we said
editing
it.
anything out of this, Scott. Everything's pretty clean here, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have been in Rockwood an awful long time, and your family is very ingrained.
Although
have
my daughters are all gone.
They are.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
But we got a question.
Okay.
And you might know, nobody's know the answer. I'm afraid we're not sure anybody knows the answer.
867-5309.
Are we calling Jenny?
We had that question that they were asking teachers. Remember
Yeah, we
back?
had to sing it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. Start over.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
And
but
they said if we said 867, what would you say? And- yeah.
Did you have a
That's
flashback?
about all I could do.
Do you remember the rest of it?
I don't know. I don't know. Help me.
I
Do you know
just-
that song?
Yeah,
I
that you
know
were
the song,
on
but-
it there.
Okay.
Listen, you know my stepbrother's
that's not-
graduated in the 80s, so yes, I know that song.
That's not the question.
Okay, we got sidetracked by her singing.
You call it that?
My effort.
There you go.
Your family and you bought a lot of sports uniforms. You know, green and white. In the past, it was orange and black. We're all proud to be from Brockwood. Do you know why the Tigers are our mascot?
Oh, I have not thought about that.
No one knows the answer.
I have not thought about that at all.
And, you know, it makes sense. Orange and black, tiger. We just don't know
Well,
where it
and that's
came
what
from.
it started was
Yeah.
orange and black. And I think, I don't know this for sure, but there were so many different orange and black teams around here that we changed to green and white. And then in the 70s, when everybody was adding
Yeah.
the third color, we added
Put
the
the
gold.
gold in. But nobody has even a theory about why we are tigers.
We just wanted a massive cat animal, and we did that. Well,
That's crazy. I mean,
well, if you look, a tiger can definitely beat a jacket because there's not much there. Tiger can definitely take a devil. I mean, you know, And then
And
Bob,
a
wave.
A green wave?
Oh yeah, they're
Heck.
just swimming in that.
Yeah.
And then you go to a bobcat, which is a mini. Yeah, tiger just was the
Tiger's
meanest one
definitely
around.
an excellent mascot.
That is
and we
correct.
have the best mascot.
That is
Just-
correct.
We just don't know why we
We just don't
haven't.
know why that was chosen.
I
We're
don't know.
glad
I
they
can
did.
tell you. I can tell you why Crossville is the Jets.
Okay, why?
Well, when they were looking for a new mascot, my grandfather made a suggestion that we're going into the Jet age, so why don't we call our school the Cumberland County Jets? So there we go.
Your grandfather is the person that determined that.
I don't know.
He was part of
hey,
that.
he's a Thompson like me, so he tells us that he used to tell us that story. So I'm going with it.
That's good.
And you know,
I'm going with it.
And then they called Al Gore Sr. and said, we need a jet. And they didn't think they would get
Well,
one.
you know where they got the Jet? Kurt Watson.
Yes. And then
Kurt Watson played ball with my uncle Jim, and Kurt went to UT, and my uncle Jim went to Middle Tennessee and played linebacker. He actually
Yep.
played against Roger Staubach
Yes.
when they came down here and played Navy.
Wow.
And see, we can get sidetracked because Cumberland County assistant principal is former Rockwood Tiger, Summer Say Shadden,
Yes.
which both y'all had.
We
Yes,
did.
we
She
did.
was
So-
okay.
Well,
She was in your class. I remember
Yes.
you
Yeah.
and her in my geometry class, Marco Walker.
Now she's got trauma again.
trauma again. Yes.
There were some scheduling issues. I mean,
Wow.
you and Marco,
Wow,
seriously.
scheduling
You
issues.
and
That's what
Marco
she
should
called
not
it.
have been in the same
We
class.
had a good time. Except Judy Whitaker would disagree, but that's another story for another day.
That is.
Okay.
But we'll continue on our search. We don't know. We may just make it up.
I'm good at that. I can make that up.
We may call you. When we
I
get-
don't know,
When
but-
we get our committee together to make up the
Yeah.
story, we'll
story.
remember you.
Everybody
Yes.
we record, we're going to bring them together.
Yeah.
And
Submit ideas.
Hey, it might be a tiger escaped from Tiger Haven and came straight to Rockwood, and we captured it.
Perhaps.
And that was our mascot. And we hid it from Tiger Haven, and we would pull it out for ball games, scare everybody off until they came and took
We
it.
need to do
We
How
can
about that? Does that
we
work?
can submit that as one of the story suggestions.
We should have them in the homecoming parade, but that's a story
And
for
that
another
came up
day.
right on the spot there. I just sort of came up with that on the
Good
spot.
job. Good job.
And you even provided proof, even if it wasn't angle side.
Hey, listen, you remember this going through school. Kids used to always try to get me. And I said, you're not going to get me. There were times they would get me, and I would keep going and talk them out of it. I would
Yes.
talk them out of it.
And my favorite is when, this is going to sound harsh, they were totally stupid.
I didn't say that.
And it was obvious that he was completely making something up.
Oh, are you talking? Oh, do
Yes.
I need to tell that story?
You
I'm not
can.
going to say the offending party,
Yes.
but I'm in the middle teaching class, okay? And I'm writing something on the board. This is before we had electronics. I was writing something up on the board, and we were talking about this, and all of a sudden I have a young lady go, excuse me, I have a question. I said, yeah, what do you need? And she said, well, this isn't about English, but I still would like to ask the question. I said, okay, go ahead. So she said, I've always been wondering, what's the difference between a weed eater and a string trimmer? All right, so without breaking stride, I said, well, a string trimmer is this little machine you have, has a string on the end of it. You go through and cut down everything with a string trimmer. I said, the weed eater is actually a small animal related to a cow. And it has been trained to walk around trees and shrubs and trim. She goes, well, thank you. I've always wanted to know. Well, okay, so I forget about it. A month later, I kid you not, a month later, we come in, I'm teaching. She goes, Coach Thompson, I'm mad at you. I said, what are you mad at me for? I'd forgotten all about it by this time. And she said, me and my grandfather were at Lowe's, and I was as proud as a peacock. We got to the string trimmers, and she said, I can tell you the difference between a string trimmer and a weed eater. And she explained exactly what I had said. And he just started laughing. And she said, I just now found out you lied to me. And I said, I'm sorry. But I mean,
Some people deserve it. I'm just saying.
well, that's like, well, I'll probably say his name. I was coaching tennis back then. I coached for about 5 or 6 years back in the middle 2000s, and I had Joseph Bowman. And he played football, a good football player. And his senior year, he was interested in a freshman that I had on the team. So he decides he's going to play tennis for me. Oh. So I say, okay, Joseph, come on out. I need another boy. And he gets him a racket. And we're practicing down here at these courts. And he says, Coach, I've got a problem. Every time I hit the ball, it goes into the net. And I said, well, Joseph, let me ask you a question. Did you buy a right-handed tennis racket or a left-handed tennis racket? I said, because if you bought a left-handed tennis racket, when you hit it, it's going to go down. If you
Oh, my goodness.
He looked at his bottom of his racket, and sure enough, there's an L on it. All right, so I didn't think any more about it. The next day, him and about 4 or 5 other tennis players come up to me and said, Coach, we're going to be late to practice today. I said, what are you going to be late to practice for? He said, we all have left-handed tennis rackets. We got to go buy right-handed. I said, Joseph, I was kidding. That's not right. Coach. But I've got I don't know how many stories of that stuff right there all through my career.
I'm sure.
Do you have any of those stories?
No.
She was too focused on
I was
geometry to
focused
have
on
fun.
Oh, I can tell you an academic story, and it isn't a sports story, but an academic story. I had a girl in Cumberland County in Crawford, and I had one class that was an advanced class, and I was teaching middle school, and I had 7th and 8th graders in the same English class. And we were teaching, and I used to do stuff like that. Like one girl came by the room on a Friday and said, hey, Coach, I'll see you on Monday. I said, you're not going to be here tomorrow? She goes, today's Friday. I said, no, it's Thursday. No, it's Friday. And I said, well, I guess I'll see you Monday when you get here. I'll be here tomorrow. For some reason, she told me she got up Saturday morning,
bless
and
her.
her mom said, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm getting up, getting ready to go to school. And when she told me that, I said, I don't know what's worse, you doing it or you telling me you did it. But then I had another girl, real smart girl, and she challenged me. She just told me, she said, Coach, you're never going to get me. Well, I had to take the challenge.
Of course.
So we had a big test, and I knew this girl was really smart, and it was a bubble-in sheet that you had to bubble in. And after I graded it, I would always, the next day I would say, hey, do you want to know your grade before I hand these back? And I'd say, you can either hear it out loud or you can come up here and I'll tell you what you made. That way, if you knew you'd bombed it, you didn't have to have it called out loud. And so it got her turn, and she said, I'll hear it out loud. And I said, you might want to come. No. I said, well, you might want to. So she finally came up, but see, I'm smart. So what I did was I took the time to fill out another answer key. And what I told her I told her she had a 21. and I filled out a whole different answer key. I said, I think what you did, you got on the wrong line and you put the right answer, but it was on the wrong line and you missed number. She goes, no. I said, yeah. So I handed her the answer key and her paper, and it lined up. She came back up like this right here. She said, Coach, can I go to the bathroom?
Oh.
I said, sure. So she went to the bathroom, and I just started laughing. I told everybody what I did, because they had all heard her challenge me. She came back in. She goes, Coach, I've never failed anything in my life. Is there any way I can get this up? I said, well, you didn't fill this one either, but I told you I'd get you. And she went, oh, no. But yeah, I mean, I've got stories like that all through my career. And that's what I guess made it fun.
Oh, yeah.
When you came. I've had, I don't know how many students say, hey, I don't like English, but I really enjoyed your class.
Well, my boys both liked your class. I guess I'm seeing now what it was.
Well, your youngest boy, he read. He was a reader.
Yeah.
And he read all those. Your oldest, we had to take him kicking and screaming.
I know. And it's funny because when he was younger, he was a reader, and he reads now. But during those years, he was just more interested in
Girls and athletics.
something else. Yeah.
Girls and athletics. I always told them, there's 3 things you can do in high school. You can only be good doing 2 of them. Academics, the opposite sex, and sports.
Yeah. So Jared picked the other 2.
He picked the other 2.
Yeah.
It's the pressure of having a geometry teacher.
Yeah, see, English teacher wasn't pressure on my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, both my kids prefer the English and history type subjects over math.
I thought she was going to say they really preferred Coach Thompson.
I thought she
And
was.
they did.
But she was
And that
you had
too.
to pull it out over there to get her to admit it.
That too. Okay, well, this has been lots of fun.
Yes, it
been a
has.
blast.
Thank you for coming in.
I've enjoyed
I
it.
appreciate it. And
enjoyed it.
we will, I'm going to look forward to editing this one.
Of course, she's going to edit it.
I won't edit it. Everything you see is what's happening.
Nothing to see here. The droids you see are not the ones you're looking for.
That's right.
For all you old Star Wars people.
That's right.
Yeah.
These are not the droids.
So
you're
that's
looking
another
for.
thing. All those movies that you watch, which I loved your movie class when you did that.
Oh yeah, I still do that.
That's the kinds of stuff my boys and my husband watch.
Well, I will say this. Wasn't it Jared? It was Jared, even though he didn't like the reading. You remember that year I had him in junior English, we did those projects at the end of the year, and he and that group did, was it The Great Gatsby?
Great Gatsby. We had all those kids
Yes.
in our house acting it out.
Yes.
And they had a blast. He really liked it. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We still
And-
watch that every now
Oh,
and
do
then.
you? Yeah, it was good. They had different things they
Our
could do, and
version
they
of
chose.
The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And I quote, I drink a lot.
Okay.
Well, he fits in with the Great Gatsby.
Yeah. Is that why? Were you the star?
No.
She played Daisy.
Actually, Becca was that.
I know she was.
It's fun.
Are we ready to?
Yes. We're going to stop.
Once we start talking about her, wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
stop at some
That
place.
will be cut from this one.
You know, it is Friday. I feel like it's fallback Friday sitting between 2 teachers. I feel like I'm at Rockwood High School again.
Today's my anniversary. And today's the last day before spring break. You're about to have spring break, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we going to have a blizzard? That's all I want to know.
Hey, I got out of that blizzard. Mom and Dad, that blizzard of 92.
93.
Or 93. I was up there in Crossville dating my wife. We had tickets to go to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And I went to school that day, and we had lunch at like 10 o'clock so we could leave at 10:30 so we could count it as a day. And I'd called the box office and they said, no, you can't get your money back. So I'd got a 4-wheel drive, took my soon-to-be wife, and we came down here and ate lunch at Mom and Dad's, went up there. By one of the breaks, there was already about 3 inches on the ground, and we stayed for the whole thing. We only made it back to my parents' house, and we were stuck there for the whole week. That was actually Rockwood spring break. Crossville spring break was the next week, so I got that week off plus another. And Mom and Dad got stuck in the house.
Right, our spring break
Yeah.
was during the blizzard. So our listeners will be watching or hearing this in April. It'll probably May before this one publishes.
Okay.
But the day here that we're recording it's March 13th.
And yep.
And we have just finished a blizzard series, which is running right now. If we had known that you had a story, we'd have grabbed you for that, but...
I promise you, he's got a story.
I've got a story for everything.
Story for everything.
I've got a story
Okay,
for
we've
everything.
tried to sign off a couple of times, maybe, but there's so much to say.
Oh, I could say a ton more.
Yeah.
I could too, but we'd have to have an explicit warning.
Okay.
That was definitely cut.
We're really saying goodbye now.
But the audience does not want us to say goodbye.
No, I'm sure everybody's on the edge of their seat.
Thank you again for coming.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
It means a lot to have you here and to hear your stories. Your family's the bedrock for this community, and it really goes along with what we're saying as we tell the story of Rockwood, the story of us.